Bé, gràcies al senyor Puigneró. Gràcies també a tots els assistents, fa molt de goig. I will continue from now on in English to introduce you the coming speakers. Mr. Eric Philippart from the DG GROW in the European Commission, and actually one of the few people, as he was telling me now, born and bred in Brussels that actually live and work in Brussels. And then Mr. Dimitrios Bouchalis from the Bournemouth University. We will try to speak about the impact of the new technologies in tourism as a whole. They will speak about 20-25 minutes each, and we will try to have some space for questions if we are all on time. Just to introduce Eric already, I will just explain a little anecdote that actually is a true fact that happened in Meliá hotels, and that actually I think illustrates quite well what we are talking about here today, which is tourism and the information technology. I guess you are all in this hall familiar with TripAdvisor. So TripAdvisor 6-7 years ago became a kind of a nuisance to people at Meliá hotels, and the hotel managers had a quite hot discussion on what the impact of TripAdvisor was in their hotels and in their sales. And they were not very pleased because they said that all the opinions that were actually published in TripAdvisor were biased in a negative way. So this went on for some months, and this was ended by the owner of Meliá Hotels about 3 months later. He sent a letter to all the hotel managers saying, "Dear hotel manager, from now on, 50% of your bonus will be based on the TripAdvisor ratings. Signed, yours sincerely, the owner." So this was the end of it, and I think this illustrates a little bit what we are talking here today, and a little bit also what has been said before about the influence of everybody's opinion and everybody's experience in the touristic world. So I will now give word to Eric. Please, all yours, you have the power now. Cheers.
Well, it has been an eventful journey, and it illustrates what happens when we are deprived of all the bounty of the creative industry. It started because I was told that I need to be at the Brussels airport 4 hours before the flight for obvious reasons, and then everything went wrong in terms of access to the cloud, no Wi-Fi, not even SMS. But I'm part of a generation of IT survivors. I was not born with them, and I can still adjust to that. Of course, millennials would have probably stopped trying to connect to the Wi-Fi in their apartment in Barcelona, but I managed to connect at 11 p.m. and at 1 my presentation was done, but then after that there was no connection left, so at 2:30 I decided to go to bed. But I'm a survivor, an IT survivor, because contrary to the millennials, I saw my parents fighting over how to read a paper map, and I had a special status in my family because I was looking a mutant. I was the only one who managed to fold back the huge paper map properly, which led me to study for too long, obviously, and now working for the European Commission. So without further ado, now that everything is super IT functioning, I will use tonight's PowerPoint presentation, and yes. So Europe is still the #1 tourist destination in the world, and according to the UN WTO, our growth was close to 5%, so everything is fine. Okay, so it's probably me. My batteries are fairly low. No, it's working. So basically, we managed to keep European tourism in Europe, and to attract many tourists from other continents. So the picture overall is pretty good. We have run Eurobarometer on the preferences of European tourism in January. The results have been published in March. You have that online. But basically, it varies according to the size of the country. What is true for Spain or France is not true for Luxembourg, but overall, we have 50% of tourists staying in their countries, then 30% more are going to at least once a year in another European country, and then we have 20%, it depends a bit less, of international tourists. They are coming more and more. We'll see, I can adjust. I will push ahead of my last... So basically, more and more Americans, so far, at least last year, because of the exchange rate, because of a number of things, less and less Russians, result of the situation about Ukraine and the deterioration of their economy, more and more Chinese tourists. So basically, they are coming because of our cultural and natural assets. We are collectively #1 in terms of World Heritage, UNESCO World Heritage list on both nature and cultural sites. Quality of our services. So does European tourists, and this is the forecast that we asked UNWTO to do about, the trend. So obviously we are still growing in terms of absolute numbers, but we are losing market shares. But okay, it's a globalized world. We might say that this was bound to happen. So basically, does European tourism really need the creative industry? I'm probably pointing to the wrong place, perhaps pointing there? Ah, yes. So now I show you very briefly, but my presentation will be made available to all of you, that the forecast, long-term forecasts are good, even if we are losing market shares. But then we have the present situation. The present situation is that we have, in terms of our image, collective image, because what happened in Paris and Brussels affects other EU countries when we are discussing intercontinental tourists, those coming from Asia, from North and South America. So we have to deal with the impact in terms of tourism image, the impact of migration flows, the impact of terrorist attacks. We have to fight quite hard, coming from the European Commission, to preserve the acquis, so in terms of no control at internal borders. This was a major boost. We have run a study about the cost of non-Schengen. After the introduction of Schengen, we saw a boost of one-day visitor, but also city trips. And at the time of the introduction, there was no impact because the euro was not introduced. There were no other major impacts. So we are discussing a growth of 2% thanks to the Schengen benefit. And then we have visa waivers. If the American friends are afraid that we are exporting possibly terrorists via tourist visa, they might, it might be some kind of escalation. We benefit because we are close allies. We have a tradition of exchange of tourists. We benefit from visa waivers, and we are working hard to not to impose visa on American, Canadian coming at this point in time, or vice versa. So all that is part of what we are doing. But now there are many operators among you, so I want to swiftly look at the funding opportunities. And before that, the European Commissioner in charge of the single market, services and goods, and tourism is part of the services, has announced in February the preparation of an action plan for tourism, but focusing, we will see, but the first ideas are that action plan will focus in particular on synergy with the cultural and creative industries. So the idea is to capitalize on that growth, because investing for the future, is investing around millennials, the new group, people born around the millenniums. When you look at the Chinese travelers, they are more and more attracted by authentic experience and experiential tourism. They are quite attracted by whatever is not simply moving from point 1, 2, and 3 in a museum, reading plates, but just to have something more interactive and using the creative industry. So we have funded a number of things around that. And the point here is that what can creative industry bring, or are already bringing, to the tourism industry? The first thing is about promotion, because art without strategy, creativity without strategy, it's a quote from an academic from Michigan University. He says that creativity without strategy is art, but creativity with strategy is advertising. And this is, for instance, what, on purpose, I'm not going to take Spanish examples, so I'm not offending anybody because they are not on the list. On purpose, I will take Italian, Danish, other examples from other countries. But in Italy, they are promoting that quite well. We are seeing that also from North America. When you look at Canada, they are the Ontario state is selling their assets to virtual tourism. You can go, you have a 3D movie on YouTube, you can move, decide to go right, left. So we can promote Europe better through the creative industry. Then we have the creativity in product development. This is something we are funding too. You can travel in time, in the past, in the future. This is something that we funded and this is around digital storytelling, the Acropolis Museum. So metadata, you see a number of sculpture. Then you have all the metadata, the color, the materials. Then you have a number of message. And if your children are pestering you, they can enter the museum from different, it's a rabbit hole approach. The story can be entered through different angle. And if you are passionate with antiquities, then the level of the message will change if you are the occasional visitor or if you are a child. So you have also the third aspect is that the creative sector is becoming, and in Barcelona it's quite obvious, is becoming more and more an object of a tourist product in itself. By visiting, design district, or in Linz in Austria, they have the Arts Electronica festival that managed to put them back on the map, where they had a number of things that were exceptional but not unique. The trap, of course, and we will discuss that over the next two days. The trap is that if you want to become a hip place, attracting the creative class, if you hire a guru, the guru will give you the usual recipe. And then the problem is that what was unique, you replicate a number of things, then it's exceptional. When everybody is doing the same thing in terms of the creative tourism, then it's become déjà vu, and then it's becoming quite banal. So that is one of the things Barcelona succeeded. You have to be authentic in what you are selling. You cannot sell the same thing all the time. So this is what there's a number of things that we have done and we might do again. In particular, we will have a call for proposal around cultural tourism and routes, development of routes. But we are working also with the research and development program, Horizon 2020, to have possibly calls dedicated to strictly censor the synergies between tourism and the creative industry. We have done that around 3D modeling, around digital storytelling, but we will do that, we intend to do that more systematically. So for that, I brought with me a few copies, paper copies of an electronic guide. We have revised that guide and put that, we put that online last week. So it's a guide on EU funding for the tourist sector, many examples about the creative sector, how we have funded that. And I will stop here. The rest is in my PowerPoint presentation. I have a few copies. During the next coffee break, I'm available to answer more questions, and you have a few flyers about that guide as well. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Eric. Perfect timing. Actually, probably it will give us some time for Q&A later if we stick to that. And now I'm pleased to give word to Professor Dimitros Bouchalis, He's obviously of a Greek origin and is now head of the Department of Tourism and Hospitality at the Tourism Research Lab in the Bournemouth University in the UK. Dimitros, power is yours.
Gracias. Buenos días. Great to be back in Barcelona. I come here very, very often. I've got very good friends. I've worked with the Chamber of Commerce and several organizations. And it's always so pleasing to see how Barcelona is changing and how every time I come, I find new things. I was walking around last night, and you can see innovation coming throughout. Let me see. How many people are from Barcelona here? Okay. Who is not from Barcelona? Who is not from Catalonia? Where are you from? Galicia. Huh? Ecuador. You win probably the most far away. Asturias. Madrid. Argentina. I think Argentina wins. Okay, what I'm going to do is look in smart tourism and agility and how smart tourism is changing the competitiveness of the world. Some of you have been, who has been in any of my previous presentations? Okay, apologies if it's similar, but it's always new technology, new techniques, new things are coming. And who is taking a picture of me already? Please do, my mother will be very pleased. She doesn't know what I do for a living, okay. In reality, tourism is changing dramatically. And a lot of people do not actually understand how fast it changes and what we need to do, and how innovative we need to be in terms of strategies to remain competitive and to remain into this place. Let's play the first video. Have you seen this video before? Yes. Aha. Puss, puss, puss. Welcome, your digital natives. Both Eric and myself are digital immigrants. We came from another planet. I had my first mobile phone when I was 30. These kids, they get their first mobile phones when they're 3. They got the television and they do that. And they hope they're going to change channel by doing that. And they don't understand why, if they do that, the television doesn't change channel. And says, Dad, the television is broken. Is the tourism industry ready for that? Is the tourism industry ready for that kind of generation where technology is embedded in them? They wear it, they live it, they breathe it. So what's happening is that you'll have 2 or 3 different devices, mobile phone, a tablet, and a computer, and you'll run all kinds of different applications. And this is something that we call the Internet of Things, or the Internet of Everything. By 2020, we expect 50 billion devices. So 8 to 9 devices per person. The population of the world is 7 billion, and we'll have 50 billion devices. I was working in Cyprus last week, and I was explaining to the hoteliers that each hotel room is now supporting 6 to 7 internet-connected devices. If you've got a family of 4, we estimate about 10 devices connected to the internet. That's why when you go to hotels, the internet is very slow, because there are 10 devices per room. And the hoteliers get by surprise. They said, we have got 1 telephone line. We're supposed to have 1 internet device per room. You've got 10 by now. You've got the person in the middle, that's called customer centricity. Then you've got all kinds of devices connected, from cars, from computers, from mobiles, from cameras, from printers, you name it. Then you've got a range of different applications that they bring connectivity anywhere, any device, anytime. It doesn't matter where you are anymore, you're connected. Your environment should know where you are, and you need to know everything about your environment. We are the last generation to be lost. You will not be able to get lost anymore. We are the generation where the information is going to find us, we are not going to look for the information. It's reversing everything. 2005, the inauguration of the Pope. 2013, the inauguration of the Pope. Spot the difference. Both people are praying, but in this occasion, people are praying with a lot of other people because they are lively broadcasting what's happening. Right now, for those of you who are on Twitter, there is a group of about 25 people in here that will have a different event from those of you who are not connected. And there's conversation that's going on. There's amplification of messages. Some people are taking pictures of Buhalis doing fantastic presentation and say hello to his mom. And I'm amplifying that from there. Many of you are people I've never met before. We've met now electronically, we'll meet again. And we'll share our views about this event, we'll amplify, we'll discuss, we'll have a different conversation. So for everything that is, for everything that is going online, there's another conversation that's going online. There are a lot of different technologies that are coming in, and this is something that's called the emerging technology, the hype cycle of emerging technologies map, which brings a whole range of new technologies that are going to come forward to us. 3D printing is one of the great things. Virtual reality, and you see outside the booth with the guys that they're doing the virtual reality. I'm a very big fan of augmented reality. As I'm going around, what information is around? I was walking last night in the Ramblas, and I've realized that for the first time ever in the theater, they've got a nice, they had a nice flamenco performance. Nobody has told me that. I know one very good flamenco place in Barcelona, Jazz C, every Friday. This is my favorite flamenco place. Last night, these guys, they were doing great things. The tourist board should have told me somehow, hey, you're coming to Barcelona. You have picked up that my mobile phone is now logged in Barcelona. You like flamenco, this is where it's happening tonight. So it's all about context-related things, and it's all about agility that's going to create customer experience and will co-create the experience of the customer with the local suppliers and the local resources. Smartness takes advantage of interconnectivity and interoperability of integrated technologies to re-engineer process and data in order to produce innovative services, products and procedures towards maximizing value for all stakeholders. If you're a professor, you have to write this kind of text, right? But it's all about interconnectivity and interoperability of systems. So far, most of the systems are silos. The taxi driver system does not speak to the police system, does not talk to the airport system. Somehow we need to connect all these systems together. I was here a few years back when the cloud us was happening, and I was stuck in Barcelona. I was in Andorra working with the WTO, and then I came to Barcelona for 2 or 3 days, and then I couldn't fly anywhere because of there are no flights to the UK. I called my boss and I said, I'm terribly sorry. I'm in Barcelona. And I had to do an event on Friday, and my boss said, if you cannot get back, nobody will ever be able to travel. That's your challenge. I don't know what you'd like to do, but by Friday I need you back. So I had 3 days. Most of the people went to the airport. The queues of 2,000 people, 3,000 people trying to speak to someone. There's no point. If the planes are flying, you know that, because on the Twitter account of the Civil Aviation Authority in the UK, they'll say the airports are closed or the airports are open. So I called the guy, I was renting a flat here, I called the guy and said, I'm going to stay for as long as I'll stay. And I had fun. So twice a day I was checking the CAA Twitter account and I could plan my day. Eventually I was on the first flight out because I knew when the airports opened. I got in, I bought the ticket and I got out. It's really about interconnecting different systems. And it's really about interoperability of systems towards creating the experience. Now, this is a big challenge for many organizations because each organization, they control their own. The hotels control their own. They're not controlling what's happening outside their door. The tourist boards, they're very good at telling you come to Barcelona. The minute you're here, you're at the mercy of the taxi drivers, the pickpockets, the restaurants, and whoever else is operating in your field. Right? Who is replying to when you say on Twitter, at Barcelona? Who is monitoring that? Who owns that? Now, having said that, Barcelona is very smart. Some other places, they don't even know that these things exist. So it's a very different kind of era that we're getting to, where smartness will bring a glue of interoperable, interconnected, and mutually beneficial systems to co-create value for all through this infrastructure and this organization of tourism. What we used to do 5, 10 years ago in tourism becomes irrelevant. And the problem is that most of the decision makers are digital immigrants. They are not digital natives, and they don't understand how important those things are becoming in the future. So smartness is absolutely critical. Smartness is really about bringing human capital, social capital, innovation, governance, and technology together. It's not about technology. It is not about technology. It is much more than that. And it is really looking into how big cities are emerging, big data, interoperability, and the Internet of Things. By 21st century, we'll have, in 19 cities, more than 20 people living there. And this is some of the cities that you've got. And if you don't do it properly, this is what's happening. Disaster. The whole thing in a gridlock. Now, when you look into smartness, you see infrastructure with communication, mobility, energy, and water, and then you've got a lot of different stakeholders, all co-creating different kind of applications at different kind of settings and different kind of businesses. The critical thing on smartness will be how can we be interoperable and how can we co-create value in real time in dynamic, agile environments. Let me give you an example. If it rains in Barcelona, it's a very different experience if it's sunshine. How long before do we know when it rains? 2 days before? We have a good estimate that it's going to rain in 2 days' time, right? Or it's going to be sunshine. If I want to go to the beach, I would prefer to go on sunshine, right? So if I'm planning 5 days in Barcelona, I like to see what is the weather going to be like. I like to see when is the big festival. I like to see where there is a very nice restaurant I can book on that particular day and plan my time accordingly. In fact, because I don't know all your systems, I would like my system to go proactively to TripAdvisor, to the tourist board, to the hotel companies, the Time Out Barcelona, whoever is the provider of the information, I don't care, and actually come back forward with an itinerary that says, to optimize your time, this is what you need to do. A lot of people in tourism have spent an awful lot of time trying to do time value for money. And they're thinking value for money is let's get the cheap product. This is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. We need to move to value for time. Give me the absolute best time of my life. Give me the best experience ever. Give me the most cultural experience ever. Justify my time in Barcelona. Justify my time in Tarragona, wherever I am. And give me the best time of my life. Because actually, a lot of people are now time poor and money rich. They've got the money, but they don't know where to spend it. And they don't have the time to actually search for it. It's really about looking for co-creating the experience to my particular needs, to my particular interests. For those of you who know me, I'm a very keen photographer. Show me the best route in the Barrio Alto to take the best pictures of Barcelona. And what I'm going to do in return is I'm going to publish this. So you're going to benefit because I'll be going out telling your story with my eyes. Anybody from NH Hotels here? NH Hotels? NH Hotels is doing a fantastic job. And it's one of these companies that I'm very fanatic about. I really like them. Have a look on their breakfast. It's phenomenal. It's clever. It's nicely done. It's not very expensive, but it's very, very cleverly done. Have a look on their rooms, the same thing. So every time I go to an NH hotel, I'll take pictures. I'll tell the world, look at this. These guys are doing great stuff. Not yet. Don't play the baby again. Okay, this is how it's happening. Here you've got technology, and here you've got applications. Now, remember I said it's not about technology. It's really about using technology as the infrastructure to do the clever things. If you do not have clever human capital, if you do not have innovation, if you don't have social innovation, if you do not have business re-engineering, technology is useless. You can throw the technology away. So it's all about coordinating everything together. What makes cities smart? It's aggregating data, big data, discover, analyze information, plan, execute, optimal response. Is anybody collecting tourism statistics? Who is collecting tourism statistics? How long does it take you to analyze it? 1 year. 1 year. Okay. Am I interested in 1 year old statistics? I'm not a historian. I don't want to see what happened a year ago. I really want to know what's going to happen with the Russian market. I really want to know what's going to happen in Brussels and what's going to happen, the effect is going to happen in 3 months. Because I really need to change my strategy, my pricing, my events, all of these things dynamically. So most of the tourism statistics that we're collecting, it's only good for the minister to come forward and say, last year I achieved 3% increase. So, why not 5? We really need to start thinking in a very different way and very dynamically. We really need to think about, okay, what's going to happen in the next 3 months? When is the occupancy level less than 60% in the hotels? I'll have a number alert. Say 40% of capacity is underutilized. What should I do for this 40% capacity of being underutilized? Okay. So this kind of statistics, they need predictive systems, and they need to look into all the systems to understand what's happening. Do we know what's happening in 3 months' time? Do we have any indicators? Yes, we have. Is there anybody from Amadeus here? I saw on the program there's someone from Amadeus. I was in Portugal 2 weeks ago, and we were discussing with the director of Amadeus. Amadeus knows where people are going in the next 3 months. And if we know that, they are not going to give us this data for cheap, but if we know that, we can do a whole range of new things. If your hotel association comes together and tells you what's their reservation systems, proactively every 3 months, you'll know which weeks you need to put a festival together. You know which weeks you need to organize, I don't know, Spanish guitar music thing, or food, or whatever you do. So the point is, we need to collect data from wherever sensors they are, and this is on sensors on the big cities, and understand where we are going in the future, and proactively develop the relevant things. I'm not going to play this video because I'm running out of time. So from smart cities, we go to smart tourism. So what smartness is going to do is foster open innovation that will be supported in human and social capital and sustained by participatory governance in order to develop collective competitiveness of the tourism destination. So far, each organization was trying to achieve its competitive advantage. We are talking about collective competitiveness. We are talking about collective yield management. We are talking about collective strategic advantage. We are talking about collective competitiveness. Actually, I have to say that Barcelona is one of the places that is doing that much better than a lot of other places. Normally, I'm giving a hard time to people. So it's the dynamic co-creation and the sustainable resources and the dynamic personalization and adaptation to context that will enable us to improve tourism in the future. So it's really about bringing all the systems together, understand who are the customers, give the tools to the customers, applications, whatever, to co-create their tourism experience and learn from the tourism experience, gather the experience, crowdsource all the media that is actually being collected. So all your pictures, I'm going to crowdsource them in a minute and send them to my mother. And enable the discussion that is happening to improve value. So on the one side here, you've got tourism destination. On the other side here, you've got tourists that they've got different needs. And you're coming with a smart tourism right in the middle to maximize the value that is happening. It's really about creating a smart marketplace where you have got personalization, personalized experiences through creating the experience through co-creation with employees and customers. It's really about engaging at a very personal level, understanding your context, and dynamically co-create the product right now. The more technology you use, the more technology-empowered experience you'll have. So on the top of the pyramid, there'll be people with Google glasses or virtual and augmented reality going around understanding what's happening in the marketplace, engaging. And a lot of the information will be dynamic and will say, okay, now in this place, there's this festival, come and meet these guys. Have an offer, have a copa of cava, and have another one for free, or whatever the offer is, dynamically. This will be the people who are following the yellow umbrellas. This is normal, conventional, low technology experiences. I was in China about 5 months ago, and again, it was similar kind of low technology kind of creation, especially on digital immigrants. And somewhere in the middle, you'll have different levels of the pyramid. We're working in Bournemouth University in looking to technology-empowered experiences and looking to how can you create dynamic co-created experiences for this particular moment, for this particular customer, for this particular context. If you're traveling with your kids, you have a very different experience than if you're traveling with your friends, if you're traveling with your mom, if you're traveling with business colleagues. Smart destinations, and this is some of the innovations that are happening in Spain through Segitur. And Antonio Davila is a good friend of mine. We are working on some collaborations in developing those things. Some of the applications are flow management, traffic situation through the Internet of Things, traffic info through applications, parking spaces, tourism for all applications for handicapped people, and I'll talk about that tomorrow on the accessibility panel. You've got some video guides, you've got geolocation tourist guides, you've got promotion of tourism resources of the destination, and you've got full historic immersion through Oculus, like the guys outside, where you can have a description of what's happening on an immersive environment before you allow people to go forward and meet the real environment. To summarize, you've got the smart city, you've got the 6 A's, which is accessibility, amenities, attraction, activities, accessibility, and augmented facilities. You've got competitiveness and you've got tourism experience. And to do that, you need leadership. This is really, really critical to have leadership, human capital, entrepreneurship, innovation, and social capital. This is a framework that we're developing in Bournemouth University to take smart tourism forward. Because, as I said, smart tourism is not about technology. It's really about bringing everything together, destroy the silos, and build and co-create experience by bringing all the different resources together. Social media is critical. monitor, collect, process, and analyze social media live, in real time. So the statistics are coming from social media. The sentiment is coming from social media because people are talking about things on social media. I call my mother often and I say, did an earthquake happen? What happened with the earthquake in Athens? I said, what earthquake? How do you know about it? It was on Twitter 2 minutes ago. She switched on the television and said, yes, look. So what's happening is that through social media, we'll be able to collect data, statistics, sentiment, live, real time, and actually be ready to answer to this and create opportunities. This is the ladder, the social media ladder, where some people on the top, they are creators and conversationalists, some people are spectators, and they're moving things. We need to work with these guys. We need to take creators and conversationalists forward to make sure that they say our story, they amplify our story, they blog about us, they go around and they take nice pictures, they take nice videos, and they speak to people about us, they are promoting us. Smart tourism is not about technology, it's about agility, it's about how clever we are, how can we use a lot of tools that are free right now to do that. This is from the conference I was in China. And again, it was all about smart tourism, but this was the queue for 800 people to serve 800 people in 20 minutes coffee. And I said, this is not clever. This is not technology. So it's not about technology. But this is very clever. This is my chambermaid say, dear Mr. Bouchalis, now that you speak tomorrow, in order to better protect your throat, I especially prepare for you a candy, room attendant, whatever her name was, Julie, I think. So she left a little candy for me to protect my throat. This is one of the smartest things I've ever seen in my life. No technology. Smartness, agility, cleverness. In the future, we'll know everything. We will point to someone and we'll know everything about them. We'll know their latest Facebook, Twitter, whatever updates they've got, where they've been, we'll know everything about them. We'll know about everybody, so forget privacy. But if you're going in a conference like that and you meet people after a long time, you'll say, okay, here are the guys, and we'll know everything about everywhere. We'll know which restaurant is getting good reviews. We'll know which restaurant is giving salmonella to people. We'll know which are the nice places to go. And proactively, this information will find us. So when I come to Barcelona, my system will say, Dimitris, welcome back to Barcelona. The restaurants that you have been are those 12. You have always I always like, what's that, Cuidado in Rambla, Catalunya. There's a nice, Cuidado Condal. I always go to, when I'm in Barcelona, I go to Cuidado Condal. I just love the place. So it will have a reminder immediately to me and say, hey, this is the place. In fact, I reserved the table for you because it looked busy early on. So proactively, TripAdvisor, you mentioned TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is bringing a lot of things on augmented reality with dynamic information, and this is something that's going to happen. This is some of the latest publications that this presentation is based on the research that we do in Bournemouth University. Please link with me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you like to link with me, and you'll see all the upgrades that we're doing in those things. Please connect. Gracias.
Excellent. We've been trying to be smart and find 5 minutes for Q&A. So if anyone has questions just before the coffee break, I think it's worth it having here Mr. Philippart and Mr. Bouchalis. If anyone wants to drop a question, they're open to it, to answer. Or you're all eager to go to the coffee break. No questions? Sure? 1, 2. Okay, thanks very much, and let's go to the coffee break. See you all tomorrow.